there is a coin. You cannot see it. You cannot hold it in your hand. But Neville Goddard spent 30 years describing it, returning to it, naming it, insisting on it, with the precision of someone who had used it and knew exactly what it purchased. He called it the coin of heaven, and the law governing it is this: whatever you purchase with it, whatever you assume with feeling deeply enough that the inner man accepts it as fact, must appear in the outer world, must, not might, not eventually if the conditions are right. Must, without exception, without condition, without a single clause that permits failure. The transaction is already complete, not when you see the result, not when the numbers change, not when the circumstances rearrange themselves into something you can point to. The transaction is complete the moment the coin is spent, the moment imagination accepts the feeling as fact. The purchase is made. What follows in the outer world is not the event, it is the delivery. And delivery is not the transaction. The transaction has already happened. You are simply waiting for the outer world to catch up to something that was settled the moment you spent the coin. Because the coin is not your hope. It is not your desire. It is not your visualization, however precise. The coin is the inner man's acceptance. It is the moment the subconscious receives the feeling of the thing as fact, not as a future event, not as something being called toward you, as a present reality, already purchased, already real. The outer world hasn't confirmed it yet, because the outer world moves slowly, but the purchase was made in a dimension where time does not apply, where the moment of spending and the moment of delivery are the same moment. The coin has been spent, not tonight, not in this meditation. If you have ever once felt the wish fulfilled with enough depth that the inner man received it, the coin was spent then, and that transaction cannot be undone. The outer world is not deciding whether to deliver. It is processing an order that was placed in consciousness, and it will fill that order, not because the universe is generous, because that is the law. The law is as precise as arithmetic. You spent the coin. The thing was purchased. It is coming, not as a hope, but as a delivery. Tonight, the only work, if you can even call it that, is to remember that you are not a person waiting for a purchase to be approved. You are a person waiting for a package that has already shipped. The tracking number exists. The order is confirmed. All that remains is the arrival. And arrival, Neville was clear about this, always comes naturally, not dramatically, not in a way that announces itself as miraculous. It comes the way any delivery comes, through ordinary channels, through a conversation, an introduction, a decision that happens to move in your direction. The people around you will say it would have happened anyway, and in a sense, they're right. From the moment the coin was spent, it could not have happened any other way. Now, as the body begins to let go, as the muscles release and the breath slows and the day falls away, you are not preparing to feel wealthy. You are not working toward a state. You are not practicing anything. You are letting the body catch up to a transaction that was already made. The purchase exists. The order is confirmed. And what you are about to do, this slow, unhurried descent into the state akin to sleep, is simply the body receiving what consciousness already purchased. Let it begin. Make yourself comfortable. Let your body settle exactly where it is. No need to adjust anything too much. Just allow yourself to arrive here. Take a slow breath in and let it fall out naturally. Again, slow breath in and release. There is nothing you need to prepare for, nothing you need to understand, nothing you need to get right. Just this moment and your awareness inside it. Feel the surface beneath you, supporting your weight without effort. You are held completely. And as your breathing continues, notice how the body begins to soften on its own. You are not making that happen. It's already happening. Now let the body start to slow down. You do not need to relax all at once, just one place at a time. Bring your attention down to your feet. Notice the toes, all 10 of them, the space between them, the soles of the feet, the heels pressing gently into the surface beneath you, the ankles, and if there is even the smallest trace of holding there, let it release now, all at once, as though something unclenches by itself. Good. Now the lower legs, calves, shins, the muscles wrapped around the bones, feel them, and with the next exhale, anything being held there softens instantly, not forced, just released, down through the calves, down through the shins, all the way down and out. Good. Now the knees, the backs of the knees, the tops of the knees, let them become loose, unoccupied, as if the joints no longer need to do anything at all. Just wait, just stillness. Now the thighs, the front of the thighs, the back of the thighs, the inner thighs. For a moment, notice whether anything is still working there, anything bracing, anything preparing, anything holding on, and let all of that go, completely, as if the muscles stop reporting for duty. Good. Now the hips, the pelvis, the seat, the lower body becoming heavier, not heavy in an uncomfortable way, heavy in the way a body becomes heavy when it knows it is safe. Let that heaviness spread. Let the weight be welcomed by the surface beneath you. You do not hold yourself up anymore. Something else is doing that now, and you can let go completely. Now the lower back, the mid back, the upper back. Notice whether there is any quiet gripping there, any old effort, any leftover carrying. And with this next breath out, let the back release downward, as though the whole spine is being given back to gravity, vertebra by vertebra, tension dissolving from the top of the back, all the way down through the lumbar, all the way down to where the spine meets the surface. Gone. Good. Now the stomach. The abdomen softens, the organs rest, nothing pulled in, nothing managed, nothing protected. The whole center of the body loosens, and because the center loosens, the breath changes by itself. No need to control it. Just notice that the inhale arrives, and the exhale stays a little longer, a little slower, a little deeper, and with each longer exhale, the body drops another level. Now the chest, the ribs, the space around the heart. Let everything there open and settle. No pressure in the chest, no guarding, no preparation, just space, just ease. Now the shoulders, these places that so often carry the invisible weight, the weight of what isn't finished, the weight of what hasn't arrived yet. Let them stop carrying. Let them descend. Let them be taken by gravity, as if something unhooks, and all the strain leaves quietly. Now the arms, upper arms, elbows, forearms, wrists, hands, palms, fingers. Notice the hands becoming still, loose, warm, unconcerned, as though they no longer need to hold on to the day. Good. Now the neck, the throat, the base of the skull. Let the neck soften from the inside. Let the throat open. No effort to swallow, no effort to speak, only release. Now the jaw. Notice the jaw very carefully. If there is even a trace of holding there, let it fall away now. The teeth parting slightly, the tongue resting on the floor of the mouth becoming soft, and as the jaw releases, the whole face begins to empty out. Cheeks soft, eyes resting, forehead smooth, the tiny muscles around the eyes letting go, the scalp loosening, the temples unburdened, and now the crown of the head, quiet, still, open, from the toes to the crown. The body has begun to switch off, not asleep yet, but no longer trying, no longer performing, no longer preparing for anything, just resting. Now notice the whole body at once. Feet, legs, hips, back, stomach, chest, shoulders, arms, neck, face, head, one field, one quiet, heavy field. And if there is any final place still holding, you do not need to find it exactly. Just let the next breath reach it, and let the next exhale dissolve it completely. Good. Now the breathing becomes even easier. The inhale comes in gently. The exhale leaves more slowly, and each time it leaves, the body feels farther away, softer, heavier, less important. You are still aware of it, but only faintly, as though it has moved to the edge of your attention, and your attention has moved somewhere else entirely, somewhere quieter, somewhere without edges. With each exhale, you move a little further in, not down, not away, further in, into the part of you that has always been here, behind the day, behind the week, behind every thought you have ever had about money, behind all of it. You are moving toward the place where the coin was spent, not toward a future, toward an event that already occurred. In consciousness, in the only place that matters. And the closer you get, the heavier the body becomes, the more distant, the more beside the point. Let it be beside the point now. You don't need it for what comes next, just your awareness, just this, breathing in gently, breathing out slowly, each exhale a small descent, each descent a little more complete. You are not trying to fall asleep. You are not trying to do anything. You are simply allowing the mind to drift the way it does naturally. In those last moments before sleep takes you, that territory, that threshold where thoughts arrive without logic, where images appear without effort, where the line between what is real and what is imagined begins to soften. You know this place. You visit it every night. Tonight, you are simply more aware of it. And in that awareness, something becomes possible that is not possible in ordinary waking. The inner man does not distinguish between what has happened and what is vividly felt. He accepts feeling as fact. He responds to the state you occupy, and the state you are occupying tonight is the state of someone whose transaction is complete, whose order has been placed, whose delivery is already in motion. Stay here. Let the body drift further. Let the mind soften at its edges. Let the threshold become familiar. Now notice something. The body has gone very quiet, so quiet that you have almost stopped noticing it. It is still there, but it has moved to the background, like a sound you were once aware of that has now become part of the silence. The body is background, and awareness is foreground. Just awareness. Not thinking, not planning, not managing anything, just the simple fact of being present, without content, without urgency, without anything pressing. Notice how different this is from the waking state. In the waking state, there is always something to return to, something to check, something to calculate, some unfinished accounting running just beneath the surface. But here, there is no such pressure. Here the mind is open, the body is off, and the only thing present is awareness itself, still, unhurried, complete. This is the state Neville called the state akin to sleep, the threshold where the inner man receives, where the coin spent in imagination is accepted as legal tender, where what you have assumed becomes what is. Not metaphor, not practice, the actual mechanism, and you are at that threshold now. The body behind you, the day behind you, the old inner conversation, the one that spent itself on worry, on lack, on the arithmetic of not enough. That conversation is behind you too. What is in front of you is the life of someone who invested wisely, who spent the coin on the wish fulfilled and received the return. Stay here for a moment, just here. Nothing else required. Now, in this softened state, notice what remains when the body has gone quiet. Awareness remains. Presence remains. The sense of being remains. And because the body is so still, so settled, so unconcerned, you are free now to feel something much more subtle, not to imagine it from the outside, not to construct it, just to step into the atmosphere of a life in which the delivery has been made. The coin was spent, the order was confirmed, and what you are about to inhabit is the life on the other side of that transaction. No urgency, no calculation, no pressure in the background, no unfinished feeling. Only the quiet of an order long since filled. Let that atmosphere begin to replace the body. Let that feeling become more noticeable than the room, more noticeable than the day, more noticeable than any old thought about what hasn't arrived. The delivery has been made, and because it has been made, the body has nothing left to brace against. That is why it feels like this. That is why everything has gone so quiet. The inner man received the coin, the outer world filled the order, and the person lying here now carries nothing unresolved. Now notice something about yourself in this, not what you have, not the circumstances that changed. You, the person who lives after the delivery. Notice how they move through a morning. They wake up and the first thought is not financial. There is no rapid scan of what is owed, what is due, what is short. The inner dialogue, that constant, restless conversation Neville spoke of, has changed its subject entirely. It no longer spends itself on lack. It invests in what is already true, in what has already been received. The mind opens into the day without that old layer, just the morning, just the light, just whatever comes next. Notice how ordinary that is for them. It is not relief. Relief implies something was threatening. For this person, there is nothing to be relieved of. The transaction was completed long ago. It is simply Tuesday, and Tuesday carries no weight. Now notice how they make a decision, a small one, something they want. They don't run a background calculation. They don't measure it against something they can't afford to lose. The inner negotiation, the half-second pause, the second voice arriving just behind every choice is not present, not suppressed, not argued with, simply absent, because the coin was spent on a state where that voice has nothing to respond to. Notice how they move through a conversation. Money does not shape what they say. They are not editing themselves around what they can or cannot do. They are simply present in the conversation with the person in front of them. Notice how they end a day. They set down what they were doing, and there is no residue, no mental accounting that follows them to the couch, no quiet arithmetic running beneath dinner. The day ends, and they let it end. This is not a dramatic life. There are no milestone moments here. The delivery arrived the way deliveries always arrive, through ordinary channels, through conversations and introductions and decisions that moved quietly in one direction in a way that made everyone around them say it would have happened anyway. And they smiled at that because they knew just the ordinary texture of days, from which an enormous weight has been permanently removed. And that removal is not something they celebrate, not anymore, because it has been long enough now that they no longer remember it as an absence. It is simply how life feels, normal, steady, unremarkable, in the best possible way. This is the person you are assuming now, not aspiring to, not working toward, assuming from the inside, from the feeling right now. The coin was spent. The assumption is the act. The feeling is the fact. The state occupied now is the state that externalizes. Let it deepen. Let it become more familiar. Let it feel less like a state you are visiting and more like who you simply are. Now just notice this, very gently, without trying to answer. What does it feel like to not need money to change anything? Stay with that. No words needed. Your body responds before your mind does. A release, a soft certainty, like something has already closed. And now this. What is different about you in a reality where the delivery has already been made? Not what you have, not what you see. You, what is different? And again, you don't need to search. It's already here, in the way your body rests, in the way your breath moves, in the absence of tension. That's the difference. Stay with that. What do you no longer calculate? It's already reflected in the way your body feels. What no longer needs to be purchased. It's already reflected in the way your body feels. What has already been invested, it's already reflected in the way your body feels. What are you no longer waiting to receive? It's already reflected in the way your body feels. What no longer needs your attention, it's already reflected in the way your body feels. What has already been decided, it's already reflected in the way your body feels. What would have felt urgent before, but doesn't anymore, it's already reflected in the way your body feels. What has already fallen into place, it's already reflected in the way your body feels. What is no longer your responsibility to force, it's already reflected in the way your body feels. What no longer depends on effort, it's already reflected in the way your body feels. What has already been handled, it's already reflected in the way your body feels. What is no longer uncertain, it's already reflected in the way your body feels. What has already worked itself out, it's already reflected in the way your body feels. This is important. This feeling is not something you are creating. It is something you are noticing. The coin was spent. The order was placed in the only currency that works. And the more you remain here, the more natural it becomes. Less like a state, more like yourself. Now, very gently, let your awareness settle into a single moment, not a story, not a sequence of events, just one moment, the moment you're already in, but from inside a different identity. You are in your bed, the room is dark, the day is complete, and as you lie here, there is nothing pressing. No thought waiting to surface, no calculation running in the background, no unfinished sentence in your mind that begins with the word money. Just the ordinary quiet of someone for whom that question has already been answered, not hoped for, not being worked toward, answered. The inner man received the coin, the transaction closed, and this particular quality of stillness in the body, this is what that feels like. Feel the weight of your body against the surface beneath you. The same surface, the same room, but you are different. The person lying here carries nothing unresolved. Their financial life is not approaching completion. It is complete, already delivered, already received. And in that already, there is a particular quality of stillness, not the stillness of waiting, not the stillness of hoping something will change, the stillness of someone who has nothing left to change, someone whose inner conversation has been investing for so long in what is true, that spending on doubt has become simply unthinkable. Feel that quality. Let it have a temperature, a texture, a weight. The way the chest feels when it is not holding anything. The way the breath moves when it has nowhere urgent to go. The way the mind rests when it has nothing to solve. This is the feeling, not the circumstances. The feeling of being the one for whom this is already done. Stay in this moment. You are in your bed, the room is dark, the day is behind you, and the only thing left to do is fall asleep as this person, which is exactly what you are doing right now already. Now let the scene shift very gently. Same identity, different moment. It is morning. You have just woken. There is a few seconds before thought arrives fully, that soft, unformed space between sleep and day. Notice what is not there. The scan. You know the scan. The rapid, almost involuntary accounting that arrives with consciousness, what is owed, what is due, what remains, what needs to happen today so that the numbers hold. For this person, that scan does not run, not because they are avoiding it, not because they are practicing positivity, because there is nothing to scan for. The inner man settled this. The coin was spent, and the mind, which Neville said is the image of God, the very mechanism of creation, that mind has stopped looking for a problem that no longer exists. The morning opens, just the morning, light, the sound of whatever is outside, the body waking slowly, and the inner dialogue, that conversation Neville said runs all day, all into the night. That dialogue is not spending itself on lack this morning. It is simply present, invested in what is, in what has been, in what continues to be. And somewhere in that ordinary sequence, there is a quality of ease that this person does not even notice anymore, because it has become the background of everything, not an achievement, not a reminder to be grateful, just the way mornings feel. Feel that, the morning opening without weight, the mind clear at its first moment of the day, the body rising into a day that requires nothing extraordinary of it. Let that be completely ordinary. Let it feel expected. Let it feel like simply how it is. Now one more, an ordinary moment. You are somewhere. It doesn't matter where exactly. And there is something you want, something small, something that in another version of your life would have produced that familiar internal hesitation, that half-second pause, that quiet calculation, that moment of measuring want against what you could afford to spend. Notice that pause does not come. You simply decide, without the second voice, without the internal negotiation, without the slight contraction in the chest that used to accompany every small choice. Neville called it the inner dialogue. The conversation you carry all day, all into the night, and he was precise about what it means when that conversation changes, when it stops spending itself on the arithmetic of not enough and begins investing in the assumption of already having. This is what that investment looks like from the inside. Not a vision, not a feeling of abundance washing over you, just a decision made without resistance, easy, the way decisions feel when there is nothing threatening behind them. You move on, the moment passes, and the ease passes with it into the background, where it lives now, permanent, unremarkable, yours. Let these 3 moments settle, the night, the morning, the small decision made freely, all the same person, All the same inner landscape, all the same transaction, spent once in consciousness irreversibly. Let it loop gently. The dark room, the weightless morning, the effortless decision. Again, the settled body, the clear mind, the absence of the second voice. Again, quieter, more familiar, more yours. Now the words begin to match what is already here. No effort, no repetition needed, just allowing them to land like a receipt confirming what was already purchased. The coin has been spent. The transaction is complete. I do not wait for what I have already purchased. The inner man received it. The subconscious accepted the feeling as fact. The order was placed in the only currency that works, and it cannot be unplaced. I do not spend my imagination on lack. I invest it. An investment expects a return. The return is already in motion. I am not hoping. I am not trying. I am not preparing. I am receiving what was purchased. The delivery is in motion. The outer world is processing the order. It always arrives through ordinary channels, in ways that will seem inevitable, in ways the world will say would have happened anyway. It does not matter what the world says. The transaction was made in consciousness, and consciousness is the only reality. My inner dialogue has changed. It no longer spends itself on the arithmetic of not enough. It invests in what is already true. It inhabits the wish fulfilled. It lives from the end. My mornings are clear. The scan does not run. There is nothing to scan for. The answer is already known. The second voice is gone, not suppressed, gone, because there is nothing for it to respond to. The coin has been spent. The purchase exists. The delivery is real. The outer world is simply catching up. I am the one for whom this is already decided. I am the one whose order is confirmed. I am the one who falls asleep with nothing unresolved. I am not becoming this. I already am this. What remains is this: quiet, steady, already purchased, already mine. Now just remain here. No effort, no direction, just this. The coin was spent. The transaction is complete. Nothing to change, nothing to fix, nothing to return to. The coin itself is no longer relevant. It was a means. The means is gone. What it purchased is real. And real things do not require the receipt. The room is dark, the body is heavy, the day is gone, and you are already the one who received the delivery. Let the breath become quieter, Let the thoughts become fewer. Let the distance between them grow. Longer and longer pauses, softer and softer edges. The voice becoming just one more thing drifting at the edge of awareness. The purchase is made. The order is filled. The night, the settled body, the clear morning waiting on the other side. Nothing owed, nothing outstanding, nothing unresolved between you and sleep. Just the dark, just the weight, just the ordinary quiet of someone for whom the transaction closed long ago. Rest here, the body sinking further, the mind releasing the last thread, the state holding steady beneath everything. You don't have to maintain it, it maintains itself. The coin of heaven was spent in the only place that matters, in consciousness, in the inner man who accepted the feeling as fact, and that acceptance is the ground you are already standing on, even as you sleep, especially as you sleep. The coin is gone now. What it purchased remains. Let the words go. Let even the feeling of listening go. There is only the dark, the breath, the weight of a body that has nothing left to calculate, and underneath all of it, steady, unchanging, the simple fact, the transaction is complete. Sleep now as the one who received it, in that life, in that quiet, already done. Now the words begin to match what is already here. No effort, no repetition needed, just allowing them to land like a receipt confirming what was already purchased. The coin has been spent. The transaction is complete. I do not wait for what I have already purchased. The inner man received it. The subconscious accepted the feeling as fact. The order was placed in the only currency that works, and it cannot be unplaced. I do not spend my imagination on lack. I invest it. An investment expects a return. The return is already in motion. I am not hoping. I am not trying. I am not preparing. I am receiving what was purchased. The delivery is in motion. The outer world is processing the order. It always arrives through ordinary channels, in ways that will seem inevitable, in ways the world will say would have happened anyway. It does not matter what the world says. The transaction was made in consciousness, and consciousness is the only reality. My inner dialogue has changed. It no longer spends itself on the arithmetic of not enough. It invests in what is already true. It inhabits the wish fulfilled. It lives from the end. My mornings are clear. The scan does not run. There is nothing to scan for. The answer is already known. The second voice is gone, not suppressed, gone, because there is nothing for it to respond to. The coin has been spent. The purchase exists. The delivery is real. The outer world is simply catching up. I am the one for whom this is already decided. I am the one whose order is confirmed. I am the one who falls asleep with nothing unresolved. I am not becoming this. I already am this. What remains is this: quiet, steady, already purchased, already mine.